All right, Brian. So, kind of staying in the same realm that you were just talking about. Like, my question for you is, and you can go on with this for a little bit, because we were just talking about somebody who's just getting into the retirement conversation. And what I realized by getting to know you is one of the value adds that you bring as an advisor. I mean, obviously, they need to know where to put their money. They need to be able to make smart decisions. And clients that you have, they value the expertise. But one thing I realized is it's almost like there's so much that goes beyond that on the human level that you were alluding to. Like, just be able to dream. Like, people have been so in a pattern of work, 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 and now it's like a lifestyle change, or they have the patterns that they've modeled, they think model from their family members. But you can get them to think bigger, broader, maybe more in a what would be more fulfilling for them. So talk about that. Like, what are some of the things that sometimes you maybe from clients that you've worked with that can be like a breath of fresh air or surprising or something they didn't realize that's possible, instead of just the status quo or the model I grew up with. Like, what do you sometimes bring to them that opens up their perspective?
Yeah, so like we were talking about prior, is the roadmap that the financial blueprint really tells me a lot in terms of the engagement. I let the software and the technology really drive the conversation, and then I question around those key points. And so the bucket here's what I've learned after 25 years of doing this with people and working with individuals. Here's what people care about: how can I retire? When can I retire? What amount do I need to comfortably retire? I want to go on vacations. I want to buy cars. I have healthcare concerns for the future in terms of preparing for my later on years. Because remember, retirement is a designation. Sometimes mentally we get there, sometimes physically we can't do our functions anymore. So people enter for different reasons, or sometimes we're pushed out, of corporate environments earlier in the game than what intended. So we have to make that asset base last age 100, regardless if they're with us or with not. In the 90s, it was 90 years old. So it's changed. Why? Life expectancy has increased, right? Science and technology in the healthcare system is designed to keep people around. So it's a good thing. Medications, all the technology around that is keeping people around a lot longer. So we have to navigate some uncharted waters. So there's two phases: the accumulation phase, which is the beginning. The back end is the distribution phase. We need to get both right. We need to make sure we need to accumulate enough assets right in the beginning, and then we need to make sure on the back end that the distribution phase, that they're not taking too much money too fast. We can slow it down or speed it up depending on where they're at. But if they have those buckets of money in their retirement, that's a solid plan that will live to fight another day. And so we're managing two components: the income side, the growth side. So
Great. So with Retirement Solutions Group, our clients and the people that are interested in our educational products, they a lot of times they might be working with an advisor already, but they're interested in the information that we're providing for whatever their reason is. When you think about people that have come to you that are already working with somebody, maybe it's just the person they inherited from their parents, or they just met a guy, but they they obviously engage with our products, our educational products, for a reason, because they need information, or they have questions that aren't getting from their current advisor. What do you suspect, maybe you've experienced it, some of those questions are? Like, what are the questions on the mind of somebody who, maybe isn't getting the level of service that maybe they should be getting, that would cause them to go looking for a new advisor, or somebody like yourself?
So absolutely, a couple of things. One, the advisor maybe is a passive manager of their resources and the assets, so they've had the same buy and hold strategy for the past 25, 30 years. I see that unfortunately quite a bit. The other part is they're not really equipped to navigate. They're maybe good at accumulating assets of clients, but they're not really good with the distribution, like we were talking about, in terms of what's your roadmap and your plan for the future. So getting them, we need to really focus on those pain points. What are the pain points and what are the solve, and how can we produce that outcome to them is really what's going to get them to motivate. I never want to discredit the advisor that's in there, because it might be a family member, it might be somebody that is close to their vest, but there's really not competition in that space. You know what? There's plenty of money usually for two or three. I would encourage, two or three advisors in the situation, because you know what? There's different philosophies, different points of view, different perspective, and so trusting one person with your nest egg sometimes can be a liability. But if you have a couple people working with you, now you have a fighting chance to, and I know if you do a good enough job, usually those assets are coming your way anyways, but that takes time. So sometimes just testing the waters take a little bit up front, and then just kind of evolve from there. So
You're obviously in a very relational role. I think clients of Retirement Solutions Group, they would be relieved to hear that it's okay. Like, it's not like, it's not like we're married. It's okay to have multiple advisors and multiple specialists and a team around you. And I think that might feel relieving to some people, to know that that's okay, and it's actually maybe a good part of your strategy, because I think people have been conditioned like, oh no, I've got a guy already. Like, I can't, like, he would be mad, or he would be disappointed. I can't cheat on him. But actually, it might make a lot of sense to bring in different advisors for different things, or maybe even just have a second opinion, because we're dealing with something that's really important, which is, again, like you said, not just the accumulation, but the distribution. Like, you got to make some smart decisions. And like you said, the way that technology and longevity is changing, like, these implications of these questions become even more profound in recent years. So what about, like, the question that somebody might have, like, well, I know it costs money to have an advisor. Like, I might want to do it myself. Maybe that's why I'm, investing in educational products at Retirement Solution Groups. I want to give me the book. I'm going to do it myself because I'm going to save money on advisors. What's your thought for that? Either somebody's like, well, I can't afford more than one advisor, or I don't even want to pay one advisor. What would be your comments on that?
yeah, absolutely. So I kind of give the example of, you don't go to your plumber for heart surgery advice. You go to a specialist, and that's exactly what we are. We're going to help you navigate, uncharted waters, get you think outside the box of what you've been accustomed to, and more importantly, we're going to save you a lot of money on the downside, because just from the tax planning and the essential pieces that you may or may not understand. Upside alpha is going to be 2 to 3% more, just working with the right type of advisory, and that's where we come in, so we can help you earn more. We can help you reposition your assets, and that is one of those things you don't want to get cheap, or you don't want to take any shortcuts there, because that's your livelihood that's at stake, and so it's key to have a professional to help guide you through that process. We're a small part of the equation, but a big output or a big outcome.
Gotcha. So, and then what would you say to the expense idea? Like, do you think people, once they look into the costs of an advisor, is it like more than they expected, less than expected? Like, what reframing do people need to have there?
I give the example basically. I just do a 1.5% advisory fee, and so I can charge an hourly fee of $250 an hour. I can charge a planning fee, or I can charge an assets under management fee. All I ask is for them to be fair with me for my time and the energy that I'm putting into the plan. And so, if someone's throwing statements at me or asking me to fix their whole solution and I have to do a lot of the heavy lifting, well, there's going to have to be some compensation for my time, right? In regards to, if somebody gives me $1,000 and they're getting me on retainer at a 1.5, that's $15. That's working for minimum wage, so I give that example for them to understand, hey, this is people spend tens of thousands of dollars on their addictions to Amazon and DoorDash and think nothing of it. So I'm worth a heck of a lot more than $15, but it's worthwhile to, it's all in perspective. I'm going to help increase their situation, provide them perspective, be efficient. I'm saving them time and resources. So that I think there's a huge value add, there.
That's a great way of looking at it. I really like that. Well, we're out of time. So I've been talking to Brian Lee, who's the founder of BL Wealth Management, and he's also one of our preferred advisors at Retirement Solutions Group. Brian has spent over 20 years helping individuals and families simplify their retirement strategies, minimize taxes, and build financial plans that they can count on regardless of what the markets do. As you've heard, his approach is personal, practical, and focused on giving you calm, confident control of your future. So if you want to reach Brian and advisors like him, and you're interested in Retirement Solutions Group, you can go to masterretirement.today and get your hands on some educational products that are going to help you walk and navigate through these questions. And then we'll give you an introduction to Brian. Just let us know you want to talk to Brian Lee and we'll get you to him. And Brian, thank you so much for being here and answering some questions for us today.
Anytime, Scott. Thank you for the opportunity.
All right.